You're listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast. Hello everyone, Happy New Year to you all, and we hope that 2026 has been good for you so far. Welcome to this week's Football Language podcast for learners of English who love the beautiful game of football. My name is Damien and I am in a freezing but bright London. There have been some postponements of games due to the weather here in the UK. What is the weather like where you are? It's just me today, but we'll be hearing from Damon, who is based in Tokyo, of course, later on next week.
Unasikiza languagecaster.com.
That message was in Swahili, and yes, you are listening to languagecaster.com, or as we are now known, the Learn English Through Football podcast. Right, what do we have on today's show? Well, we are going to continue our look at language that has come from the AFCON 2025 tournament in Morocco. We will explain the phrase to ride their luck after Mali's dramatic victory over Tunisia in the last 16 knockout round. We will also look at the phrase victory over an opponent. So what does over mean here? And we will try and predict another last 16 tie. That's Algeria against DR Congo. And we'll also take a look at some language around the sacking of football managers.
languagecaster.com.
That message was in Bemba from a Zambian fan. Unfortunately for them, Zambia were knocked out in the group stages after finishing bottom of Group A behind leaders and favourites for the tournament, Morocco. The hosts have made it to the quarter-finals, along with another one of the favourites, Senegal, and also Cameroon, who defeated many people's dark horses, South Africa. Mali also made it to the last 8 after winning a dramatic penalty shootout against Tunisia, and it's this game that we focus on today. First up, we explain to ride their luck. Then we will look at the phrase victory over an opponent. Mali have made it to the last 8 of this year's AFCON, but only just. They defeated Tunisia on penalties at the weekend, despite only having 10 players for over an hour after a red card decision. They then went behind to Tunisia in the 88th minute, but remarkably scored a 96-minute penalty to send the game into extra time. There were no more goals, and so the game went to penalties, and the Malian side missed 2 spot kicks, but still managed to make it through. This is how the BBC described it. 10-man Mali rode their luck to beat Tunisia 3-2 on penalties and reach the quarter-finals of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. So, the Malian side had to repeatedly rely on luck to help them qualify. They had a player sent off early in the game. They conceded a late goal. They missed twice in the shootout. But despite all of this, they still qualified. They rode their luck. And this phrase suggests that a team repeatedly got lucky and ended up with a favourable result, a positive result. I think the phrase suggests that the team was not just lucky, but repeatedly lucky. So on more than one occasion, they had luck to get them through. Of course, we could say that Mali showed amazing resilience to qualify despite all of the negative things that happened to them as well.
Vous écoutez languagecaster.com.
Our next phrase is victory over an opponent. So, for example, we might hear that Morocco's victory over Tanzania was a comfortable one. The word over here just means against or even versus, but when we use victory, we can use the preposition over afterwards. We might also hear the phrase claim a victory over and then the team's name, which means that the first team won against the other team. Well, we might also hear the word triumph instead of victory. So, for example, Senegal's triumph over Sudan means they will play Mali in the last 8.
皆さんは languagecaster.com を聞いています。
Okay, let's move on to the predictions this week, and I am going to continue with the AFCON theme and look at the last 16 game between Algeria and DR Congo. Both of these sides, who have won the tournament on 2 occasions, featured in our AFCON preview, in which we felt they would do well in the tournament. Algeria won all 3 of their group games, while DR Congo picked up 7 points. They drew with favourite Senegal in their group matches. I think this will be tight, but I fancy DR Congo to get through against Algeria. 2-1 for me.
Hi, my name is Ahmed Adam. I support Al Hilal Sports Club. That's a side from the Sudanese Premier League. And you're listening to languagecaster.com.
And how about practicing your predictions language with us? What do you think will happen in any games that you are watching this week? What do you reckon will happen? Will your team have too much for their opponents, for example? Let us know by coming along to our site or on any of our social media sites. You can find us on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, on Instagram, and many more.
Você está escutando languagecaster.com.
And of course, don't forget, we have a huge glossary of football terms with hundreds of expressions, phrases, and cliches about the beautiful game of football. And remember also to tell a friend about us and give us a like on your favourite podcast platform.
Muri22for22.com et Lamso.
Yes, you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast, and that message was from a Chelsea fan in Cameroon. He must be happy with the indomitable Lions, but not so happy with the fact that Chelsea lost their manager Enzo Maresca at the weekend. He parted ways with the club after only 18 months, but of course he helped the club to the Europa Conference League and FIFA Club World Cup titles. Then today we heard that Manchester United have sacked their manager Ruben Amorim after only 14 months in charge. Interestingly, both managers lost their jobs after press conferences that seemed to suggest issues within their clubs. But Maresca parted ways, whereas Amorim was sacked. I think the difference is parted ways suggests that there is an agreement on both sides, so that's Maresca and Chelsea, whereas sacked is just from the club. Amorim didn't really have any say. Now, we have a couple of podcasts on the language of managers and managers getting the sack, so come along and check them out.
You're listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast.
And well done if you got any of the stingers in different languages throughout the show. We heard Swahili, Bemba, French, Japanese, as well as fans from Sudan, Brazil, and Cameroon. Remember, you can add a message by sending us a recording for the Learn English Through Football podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Yang. I'm a Liverpool fan, and you are listening to the Learn English Through Football podcast.
Right, let us know if you hear or see any of the phrases or words that we have talked about on this week's show, including rode their luck or victory over an opponent. How might you say them in another language that you know? Drop us a line at contact@learnenglishthroughfootball.com. And again, we'd love to hear from you. Enjoy all the football this week. We'll be back soon with another weekly football expression. Bye-bye.